For those of you who know me, you'll know I like a wide variety of video games. Some would call these diamond in the roughs. I'd call them underrated gems. It got me thinking, why don't I share with you, the community, 13 of my most underrated games that I earned the Platinum Trophy in that I think you should also look into and potentially platinum yourself. Now I can't think of any better way to start this list off than with one of my favorite games of 2023. What do you get when you take the hack and slash mechanics of the Devil May Cry franchise and mix it with the RPG formula of Persona? You get a match made in heaven called Aetherynights. Now some of you might be wondering why I like this game so much. Well, what can I say? From the compelling characters who are all beautiful in their own way, that bring so much depth and emotion to the table, it's impossible to not fall in love with them. And yes, that includes the antagonists. I find myself interested in all of these characters and their personalities so much that I just can't help but wanting to know more about them even after having completed and platinuming the game. Add this to the captivating story that held my attention from start to finish. The story gives new meaning to power of bonds and the strength you obtain from them. This protagonist would literally be nothing without the friends that they met along the way, which only adds to the intrigue of this game in the eyes of RPG lovers out there. The Platinum Trophy is going to require at least 2 playthroughs depending on your playstyle. The game isn't significantly long, unlike what is the standard for some RPG and JRPGs out on the market. You won't be sinking in hundreds of hours, unless you choose to do so of course. The trophies center mostly around the story and developing relationships with the characters that you meet along the way. One of them requiring you to be loyal to a single character for an entire playthrough. And yes, I do mean romantically. Each of the characters' backstory is so intricate and special, you'll find yourself getting close to them on somewhat of a personal level, as if they were real people. And honestly, that's what makes this game so special. I am not ashamed to admit that this game made me cry once or twice. In fact, I think that's what separates a good RPG from an excellent RPG. Aetherynights has given me a brand new appreciation for indie games and just how good they can be. And I wait with bated breath for Studio Sai to expand upon Aetherynights with future DLC or release a brand new game. Following up from that gem of a game, we find ourselves with another indie, except this time we're going to another genre. Now we're looking at the horror game Made of Scare, brought to us by Wales Interactive. Some of you indie lovers out there may have heard of this game or even seen it crop up on one of the numerous PlayStation sales. However, I'd hazard a guess that a lot of you have completely overlooked this game and never given it a try. I, however, would offer you to give Made of Scare a try. The beautiful music within the game sets the scene perfectly, always keeping you on your toes and immersing you in the creepily beautiful Welsh landscape. While playing through the game, you might find yourself reminded of the Outlast games. The aim is to hide and sneak around. You cannot fight back and all you can do is sneak around at the hopes that the blinded enemies that are on the hunt for you throughout the game never catch you. You may think that you're safe with the enemies unable to see you, however their sense of hearing is second to none. You must use the in-game mechanic of covering your mouth and holding your breath strategically to allow you to sneak your way past your foes, but be warned, if they hear you, they will find you and they will end you. To obtain this Platinum Trophy, you'll have to obtain a few of everyone's favourite type of trophy, the elusive collectibles. There are multiple types scattered throughout the manor that you'll be sneaking through, and they are incredibly easy to miss, so I hope that you've got your spectacles at the ready. You'll be required to play through this game twice to experience both endings, one of these runs needing to be done on hard mode, where the enemies are ruthless. They could hear a pin drop from miles away, and they won't stop hunting you down until you're dead or you're lucky enough to have escaped them. Some other notable trophies include the Dodgy Geezer, which requires you to perfectly sneak and make your way through the game without being hit a single time. You essentially must become the legendary Solid Snake and be like a ghost without your trusty cardboard box. Luckily, you can utilize saves if you make mistakes. However, this is not the case if you're hoping to unlock this trophy in the same run as the Lifesaver Trophy, which requires you to reach the end of the game with only a single save opportunity available to you. Now both of these trophies can be extremely difficult, especially if you're going for your hard difficulty run at the same time. But it can be made easier by utilizing the one tool available to you in the game for protection, the phonic modulator, which can be used to temporarily emit high-pitched sound waves to stun those that are chasing you. Unless, of course, you are wanting to obtain the Ludette Trophy, which requires you to never use this item at all through the entire playthrough. Hey, I never claimed this was going to be an easy platinum to obtain now, did I? Now while this game does sound like it would be a rather frustrating experience depending on how you do your runs, it's more than worth a play. I will, however, warn you that if you want to chase that 100% completion for the game, the DLC is rather frustrating. It likes to crash a lot, and it'll set you back quite a bit, but I assure you it's more than possible to unlock all those trophies. It's just going to take a little bit of patience. Sticking with horror, White Day, a labyrinth called Skull, developed by Sonori, is a gem very reminiscent of the Outlast franchise, in the way that the only source of light available to you in the game is a simple lighter. In this game, you find yourself trapped within your skull on the annual celebration of White Day, sneaking through the halls, coming across a few of your fellow classmates, and of course, the dreaded janitor. No, I don't mean the janitor from Scrubs, you only wish it was him. If you hear the sound of keys jingling, you must hide, and if you hear a whistle blowing, you have been found and you better start running and find a place to hide. Otherwise, you'll find yourself on the other side of his baseball bat. Now, while this game does an excellent job of building up the horror naturally from how it's been developed and the excellent sound and audio used throughout the experience, it pales in comparison to how truly terrifying the trophy list is. There are a total of 5 difficulty modes, including the dreaded Hell mode. There are a total of 10 endings in the game, including the game over screen. Quite a lot of endings, isn't it? Well, guess what? You need to experience all 10 of those endings across all 5 difficulties. When I said this game was one hell of a grind in my previous video, I truly meant it. While doing the various runs required for the Platinum, you'll also need to be on the lookout for perhaps the most unique form of collectibles I have ever seen in video games, in the form of ghost stories and the actual ghosts themselves. Some of these are unfortunately only obtainable in the higher difficulties, and I probably should mention that some of the actual ghosts can and will kill you, so be careful. The amount of grind might scare you away from this Platinum, but I assure you you'll need the practice for Hell mode, as the janitor and the ghosts are extremely deadly. But if you can conquer your fear of the grind, your reward will be a rather unique and fun experience that you won't soon forget, as well as a shiny, ultra rare Platinum. But moving away from horror for the time being, we find ourselves with our next underrated gem. From Obsidian, the rather unique stealth-based shooter RPG, Alpha Protocol. If you ever wondered what it would be like to be James Bond back in his rookie days before he was the famous 007, then this is the perfect experience for you. The downside is that it is trapped on the PS3, so I hope you still have one available. Like with any RPG, there's a range of characters that you'll meet along the way, some of which you'll come to love, some of which you'll come to hate, but in a good way. The development of these characters make these emotions feel a lot more natural rather than forced upon you like with some games. Every decision that you make will matter, even if you think it won't. It could change the fate of certain characters, both friend and foe, as well as open up new paths for you to explore, or even take paths away. It will really make you think hard about every little decision you make throughout the game to try and not lock out certain paths. It features a rather deep and intricate morality system, allowing you to freely bounce around from picking good and evil decisions at will without being forcefully siloed into one path. By the end of the game's conclusion, you could find yourself having started out as a good agent, but ending out as a corrupted one, or vice versa, or even something in between. With different endings depending on the morality of your character, you'll get to experience it all by the time you get this Platinum Trophy. And the trophies for Alpha Protocol range from you experiencing the various outcomes for the important characters that you'll meet, to having you play through with various playstyles, such as being a cold-hearted killer, putting down everyone that stands in your way, or taking a risk and sparing the lives of everyone that you can have the option of sparing, including your enemies. You will also be required to play the game on hard mode, which is definitely a challenge depending on the playstyle you choose to use for that playthrough and the weapons and gadgets that you decide to utilize. This game will require you to take notes quite a bit to ensure you get the outcomes that you want from the various playthroughs, but I personally don't see this as a bad thing, and I would love to see this game receive a remake or even just a simple port or remaster. This subgenre of RPG games has so much potential, but unfortunately it hasn't been utilized since this game's release. Why not give the game a try, and maybe someday that'll change. Moving on to our next game on the list, we find ourselves visiting Focus Entertainment, who published the rather unknown RPG Bound by Flame back in 2014. You control a mercenary named Vulcan, who has fallen victim to a wayward ritual that has sealed a demon of fire within you. The world of elves and man are once again under attack, this time by a foe called the Ice Lords, and you are their only hope for survival. Or perhaps you're just a different threat that has yet to awaken. The decision is yours. One thing that anyone who has played this game is able to agree on is the game sports a rather intricate and impressive combat system. You can openly and freely flow between the way of the warrior, the cunning of the rogue, or the destruction of the pyromancer, using the power gifted to you by the demon. Various enemy types will require you to combo these styles effectively to break through defenses, catch enemies off guard, or simply overpower them. The game's morality system is unfortunately rather simple. You'll either become the hero that the people crave for, or be seduced by the demon's promise for power as your body slowly morphs and shifts, showing the influence of you having picked the path of the demon. The Platinum will require at least 2 playthroughs to experience all the endings available, with one of them being on the hardest difficulty, Captain. You'll need to play as both the male and female versions of Vulcan to be able to romance all the available characters within the game. Most of the remaining trophies include various miscellaneous ones requiring you to get kills in various fashions with a range of different weapons and abilities, maxing out your skill trees, and completing at least half of the side quests that the game has to offer. Luckily, you'll get a lot of these through natural progression of the game. Thankfully, the Platinum for this RPG isn't very taxing, especially compared to some others on this list, and the combat system alone is more than enough reason to give this game a chance. The story itself isn't groundbreaking, but there are plenty of fun and challenging times to be had with what the game has to offer. Will you be a hero, or will you embrace the way of the demon like I did? The choice is ever yours. Changing things up a bit, our next entry comes from Pathia Games, with their rather chill indie experience, My Time at Portia. If I was to compare this game to another, I would say it's like Stardew Valley meets Animal Crossing. It's very laid back and relaxing, and you can just sit back and play when you just want to chill out or take a break from some of the more intensive games that you like to play. The game has a rather interesting story to experience. You are a new workshop owner in the town of Portia, having inherited your father's workshop from him, and your goal is to make your father proud and make your workshop the best one in Portia. Building up your relationships with the townspeople and the mayor by doing various commissions to help them and the town to prosper. The only main obstacle to that dream being Higgins, your rival in the game and the current owner of the title of Best Builder in Portia. There is a rather large roster of characters, especially for such a laid-back indie game. You'll find yourself getting to know them all on a rather personal level as you work on commissions for them, finding characters that you like, hate, and hopefully some that you'll grow to love, as you will need to engage in a romantic relationship at least twice in the game on the hunt for that Platinum trophy. And the Platinum for the game is one that you'll earn rather easily over time as you progress through the story, develop your relations with the various townsfolk of Portia, and complete commissions to increase the overall popularity of your workshop to defeat Higgins. However, there is one rather annoying missable trophy in the game called City Transporter. This is related to a story-based commission in the game that requires the builders to create 5 separate commissions of a specific type. The catch is, this is open to your rival Higgins as well. If he completes even a single one of these, then the trophy is voided and you'll have to try again on another playthrough. Luckily, the story event is rather early in the game, so if you do miss this, you're not going to have to play through much to be able to try this again. Don't let this scare you away from the game or the Platinum. Do yourself a favor, give this game a try, you won't regret it. Our next entry brings us to the world of Westeros. And no, I'm not talking about Telltale's game. I'm talking about Cyanide Studios' Game of Thrones the role-playing game, released on the PlayStation 3. For you fans of the show, for context, this game takes place during the events of Season 1 of the show. However, we will not be following the Stark family this time around. Surprisingly, we will be following 2 different characters that are loyal to House Lannister. That alone should tell you that we are in for one hell of a treat. Our protagonists are Mors Westford, a ranger of the Night's Watch, and Alistair Sarwick, a priest of the Lord of Light that abandoned his house and family despite being the heir to the family name. As you know, a Lannister always pays their debts, so any bannermen of theirs would be very interesting to follow, especially for a fan of the series. Now, I won't be telling you much about the story, as that would just ruin the game for you. What I will tell you, however, is that the story deals around some events that happened as a result of Robert's Rebellion. This game is a fan's wet dream come true. You get to explore so many fan favourite areas from Season 1 of the show, and get to use some of the abilities that we saw so little of in the show, such as Mor's ability to war against his loyal hound, and Alistair utilising the flames of the Lord of Light in some ways that would make Melisandre herself look green with envy. The Platinum will require you to play through the game a single time, unless of course you miss some of the chapter-specific trophies that you need to accomplish. Additionally, you'll need to kill enemies in a variety of ways with both characters for a few trophies, which honestly you'll get through natural progression. This game is a lot of fun to play, especially if you're a fan of the books or the show. However, it does suffer from being trapped on the PlayStation 3, as well as having some rather annoying bugs that were never fixed post the game's completion. But honestly, it didn't really ruin the experience, so why not give the game a chance? Time for a bit of a controversial entry to the list, but please keep in mind this list is entirely my own opinion. I would love to hear about some of your underrated gems down in the comment section down below, so let me know. Now with that being said, our next game is BioWare's Dragon Age Origins. Most people that I talk to about the Dragon Age franchise have never played or even heard of Origins, but they do tend to have known about the second game and especially Inquisition, which honestly is a shame, because in my opinion Origins has perhaps the best overall story from the trilogy of games in the franchise. There are 6 origin stories for you to choose from in the game, which I would personally recommend playing from start to finish, despite the fact that you don't need to do this for the platinum. As with any RPG, there's a large range of characters and companions that you'll meet along your journey, that are all rather unique and have very different personalities, making the journey completely different depending on the companions you tend to favour as you play through the game. The platinum for this game will require you to play through the game a minimum of 3 times, once for each of the character classes in the game of the Warrior, the Rogue, and the Mage. Across these playthroughs, you'll need to experience every possible outcome to the main story events that occur throughout the game, as well as romance every possible companion. Though let's face it, we all know that Morrigan is the only true best choice. Who doesn't love a sassy witch that loves to speak her mind openly? It's worth noting that the game has a total of 8 DLC packs, one of which is a full expansion available to add on to your experience. And honestly, it's something I highly recommend, as each one directly adds on to the overall story experience of the game and is more than worth playing. The platinum overall will only take you around 80 hours to unlock, however this game has hundreds of hours of content available with so much replayability associated to it. This is the game that truly brought out my love for RPG games. I had played them on and off before, but Dragon Age Origins made me fall in love with the genre. When I look back, it's rather funny to think that I only picked up this game back in the day because the box art looked cool. This will always be one of my favourite games of all time and has so many fond memories to it that I doubt I will ever forget. Do yourself a favour and give the game a try. Let me know what you think, and you're welcome. Our next game is one that may bring back some fond memories of a team that I'm sure we're all very familiar with, that being Telltale. The console was brought to us by Big Bad Wolf back in 2018. The console makes use of the rather popular formula that was used by Telltale successfully for years in terms of storytelling. However, they made some rather interesting innovations to the formula that makes the experience all the more enjoyable. With the additions of RPG mechanics, such as a leveling system and skill trees, it ensures that each playthrough of the game will be rather unique and different, seeing as certain paths, areas, decisions, and conversations will require you to have certain abilities unlocked to be able to unlock them. Speaking of the platinum, you'll unlock this by basically playing through the game and finding certain secrets located in story-specific areas, making them rather difficult to miss if you're looking around the room properly, as you should whenever you're playing this style of game. There are, however, 3 somewhat troublesome trophies that, depending on how you play, can easily be missed out on, and will require you to play another playthrough to be able to have another chance at them, which could annoy some people considering you can earn this platinum in a single run without even using a guide. The Specialist trophy requires you to level one of the skills in the game to the max at level 3. Why is this missable, you may ask? Well, the Jack of all trades trophy is the likely culprit, which requires you in a single playthrough to level 10 different skills up to level 1. This trophy will have you trying to find every possible secret in the game to gain additional experience to level up with, as well as trying to find the items in the game that help level up some of the skills, which will also help with earning that last troublesome trophy, Veteran, which requires you to reach level 15 before the game's conclusion. The fact that this game takes the already loved Telltale formula and improves upon it is reason enough alone to give this game a try, and it makes me wonder what other improvements could be made to the formula outside of the RPG mechanics used within this game to make the experience even more enjoyable. If Telltale style games ever make a proper return, I really do hope that they learn from this. Now, if you were a fan of JRPGs back in the PlayStation 2 era, you'll likely have heard of the Dot Hack franchise. Our next game is a remaster of one of the most popular games from that franchise, Hack GU Last Recode. This game is essentially 4 games packaged into a single full experience for everyone to enjoy. The original version on the PlayStation 2 consisted of only 3 games. The remaster brings us the final 4th volume, as they call it, to close out some of the cliffhangers that were left back in the day that were never resolved. The remaster stays true to the gameplay of the original games, all the while improving upon the overall look and feel of the game's graphics and mechanics. The game has you following the story of Haseo, a player who is logged into the virtual game known as The World, going on many different adventures and meeting various allies, friends and foes along the way. The game follows on after the events of the Hack Roots anime, which isn't required to have been seen to be able to enjoy the game, as there is catch-up material in the game that you can look up, but honestly, it's worth a watch, as you get a true understanding to see why Haseo became known as the Terror of Death. The Platinum will take the guts of 100 hours, which isn't surprising when you consider it's 4 games packaged into one. However, there is a single troublesome trophy that can lock you out of the Platinum if you aren't careful. This trophy is called Guild with Benefits, which requires your in-game guild to reach level 9. To do this, you'll need to level all aspects of an in-game tracker called the Book of 1000 to level 9 accordingly. The issue with this is that you will do this leveling through the first 3 volumes of the game, and there are some volume-specific items and monsters that you can only get within those specific volumes. If you miss out on that and move on to the next volume, you have assured that this trophy will not pop in this playthrough and will have to start again, or load an old save if you have one. While this game is likely to be more appealing to those who are fans of anime, I would still encourage you to give it a try if you like RPGs. You never know, you may end up finding a new subgenre that you can explore, and might even be encouraged to give watching anime a try. Honestly, what do you have to lose? Now you know I couldn't do this list without mentioning my beloved franchise Resident Evil. Now hear me out, I can already hear you ferociously typing in the comments section, asking me in what world is Resident Evil underrated. But believe it or not, there are some games in the mainline franchise that are overlooked and relatively left unplayed by most of the community. Everybody knows about Resident Evil 4 onwards, and of course, all the recent remakes of 2, 3, and 4, but I'm going to take you further back in time, back to 2015, where we received the HD remaster of the Resident Evil remake. This was the game that showed Capcom that remakes were a viable strategy for them to look into, and is likely the reason we see so many remakes surfacing in the industry these days. In this game, you'll play as one of 2 protagonists. Chris Redfield, before he became the steroid-pumping, boulder-punching maniac that we know today, or Jill Valentine, the origin of the Jill Sandwich, before she became a homing target for mind control shenanigans and the tentacles of Nemesis. What? What the fuck? The story will have you exploring the iconic Spencer Mansion, trying to find out the reason behind the violent killings that have occurred in the area. Little do they know, they have walked into a zombie-infested nightmare, with enemies waiting around every corner, ready to strike. The Platinum will require you to complete around 4 to 6 playthroughs due to some rather unique runs that are associated with trophies, such as Real Survivor difficulty, Invisible Enemies mode, a knife-only run, a run with no saves, and of course the infamous speed run. This game is a true gem to play through. Each time you come back for another run, you'll learn something new that helps you in future runs, be it a faster route to objectives, items that you can leave behind for future backtracking, or enemy positioning to allow you to plan who to kill and who to avoid, all of which will ultimately help you when you go for that rather unforgiving 3-hour speedrun. I love to revisit this game from time to time, even after obtaining the Platinum, to try and better my time and my overall knowledge of the game and its layout. I can confidently say that I can guide anyone through the game with my knowledge, without even needing to take control. So if you're struggling, hit me up, and I'll see if I can help you out. Now I bet you thought every game on this list would be either an RPG or an horror. Time to throw you a surprise curveball in the form of Simogo's very own Sayonara Wild Hearts, released back in 2019. Sayonara Wild Hearts was published by Annapurna Interactive, known for publishing some of our favourite indie experiences, including Stray, What Remains of Edith Finch, and of course, Journey. Right up to this very day, Sayonara Wild Hearts is heralded as the best representation in gaming of heartbreak and healing. The game in itself is an action rhythm experience that follows a nameless character traveling through some surreal neon worlds to the beat of some incredibly beautiful and unique soundtracks, which honestly are all great to listen to as part of any playlist, even outside of gaming. The Platinum Trophy for the game will require you to go through the game's various levels a number of times, depending on your approach and how efficient you are with your runs early on in the game. While saying that, however, I do urge you to play this game initially completely vanilla, ignore the trophies and ignore the guides, as you'll only ruin the otherworldly experience that Sayonara Wild Hearts has to offer. When going for the actual trophies, you'll notice that most of them involve solving a riddle represented by the various star signs, which, don't worry, you can find the answers for them fairly easily, as the game has them available for you to view on the main menu. The riddles will require you to complete various challenges in some of the levels, be it going through a level perfectly without dying, getting through one in a certain time, or funnily enough, doing so badly at the level that you finish with a score of 0. Other trophies in the game will require you to get gold ranks in every level in the game and collect the square coin collectibles, which require near perfection of the level's rhythms, which you will develop over time, don't worry. I'm not going to tell you any more about the game or its story, as I want you to experience that for yourself. But if what I've said here isn't enough to convince you to pick it up and give it a try, then maybe this will. This game has an official Vault Boy Steve stamp of approval. It's one of his favourite games of all time, and he would do almost anything for a PS5 version, or more stacks for him to enjoy, so that alone should speak volumes for the game. Give it a shot. Hopefully you're still with me, because here we are at game number 13. Now hear me out before you start shouting at me, because I know it's coming. I have my reasons for what I'm about to say. The final game on our list is Persona 5. Not Royale, the original Persona 5.
No. Wait.
Persona 5 was originally released back in 2016 and became the new entry point in the series for gamers everywhere, especially trophy hunters, with Persona 4 Golden being locked on the Vita until recently, and there not being any trophy lists for Persona 3 until Portable was released, and of course Reloaded. My reasoning behind calling this an underrated game is due to trophy hunters tending to just gravitate to Royale due to the trophy list being significantly easier than the original, which is usually the answer I get from people whenever I ask them, why don't you want to play the original Persona 5? To get the platinum for Persona 5, you're going to have to work for it. There are 3 key things that set this game apart from Royale. In this version, you're expected to max out all of your social links in a single playthrough, which honestly should be a requirement regardless of anything, as it's integral for the game and its overall message that it shares on how the bonds of friendship can make you stronger than you've ever imagined possible. You'll also be expected to complete the entire compendium, meaning you'll need to recruit or fuse every single persona in the game. Again, another thing that should be a requirement, as each persona gives you different ways to approach battle, be it by having elemental skills at the ready to combo and exploit weaknesses in the enemy, or perhaps you go down a more physical route, aiming to overpower opponents with sheer brute strength. The final main difference between Royale and the original is needing to go into New Game Plus so that you can encounter the battle against the secret boss of the game. I won't tell you who or what it is that you will fight, you'll need to find that out for yourself, but I will tell you that this fight is not easy, and it will test everything you have learned over your journey in Persona 5. If you have this platinum already, you damn well earned it. I would implore you, pick up this game and give it a try and go for the platinum. It is a long grind. I won't sit here and lie to you and say it isn't. And it is probably going to take you 2 playthroughs, but it allows you to experience the true beauty of Persona. The bonds you make with the confidants in the game, all of beautiful stories to experience as you help them overcome a difficult situation in their life and awaken to their true self that they had hidden behind a mask. When you finish the game, you'll be able to sit and look back on all the lessons that you taught your friends in the game and ask yourself a rather simple but deep question. Are you being true to yourself, or are you perhaps just hiding behind a mask?